Henry Miller, one of the most prolific American novelists of all time, has 11 tips for you, yes, you, on how to become a better writer. And we're going to be going over those today. And they're actually really good. So stay tuned. But my name is Ian, and on this channel, I cover everything book and writing related. So let's get started. And the first two are basically the same, excuse me. And they are: one, work on one thing at a time until finished. And two, start no new books until the one you are doing is complete. And this is a struggle, man, because I have a notebook over there with 20 solid book ideas that I have thought out and know I want to write. And I have probably 100 more that I want to write, but these are the 20 solid ones. But that's a decade or two of writing. I probably won't get to some of those in my life because new ideas will come that outrank those. But you have to calm down. I agree with this advice. But I question, and let me know down in the comments. I really want a dialogue here. I'm trying to get some more comments on the channel. Let me know what you guys think. That, for instance, I am writing a poetry book right now. I would call it 80% done, 80 to 85% done. I'm in end of revision stage right now. Been working on it for 3 years. But I'm also working on a novel, and we'll call it 30% done. And I'm wondering, according to this, I should power through one of them, maybe finish this poetry book and then focus. But I like working on both at the same time. And I know it slows me down. He's right. I should just be working on one and then work on the other. But having time to work on some poetry, write some beautiful lines, or then, really get into the prose mindset. I don't know. Can we separate nonfiction, poetry, short stories, and novels, or is that just all too much? It's probably too much. I'm actually juggling a nonfiction book too. That's like 50% done right now. But the nonfiction, that's pretty easy. I really only write on that when I don't feel motivation for anything else, because it's, nonfiction, I feel like force yourself into writing it and you can still do pretty well. I can't force myself really into great poetry. So what do you guys think about the first two tips? Are you working on more than one book right now? But I would for sure, when it comes to a novel, like, oh my God, don't work on more than one novel at a time. That sounds like a disaster, or a poetry book, or really any of this. Like, absolutely not. I don't even know how you manage that. And I actually have the list right here. And number 3 is, don't be nervous. Work calmly, joylessly, recklessly, and whatever is on hand. And that is one of the mottos of our channel here, is from shout out Ray Bradbury, rest in peace, Ray, is work, relax, or we could call it write, relax, don't think. And we were just talking about, I just did another video on Jack Kerouac's 30 Rules for Writing, and Jack Kerouac, the beat writer, is obviously very spontaneous and fun, but it's the same advice that a lot of writers: don't be a grinder. Don't bring the capitalistic competitive mindset to your art. Go get an easy job that doesn't take up too much mental RAM, and you can maybe even write a little bit or take care of other tasks throughout the day, get some other itches out, and then come home and have the energy to write. Don't focus on becoming the next big thing, or it's just too much to handle. Like, for instance, right now I have a job that I feel like takes up pretty low amount of mental RAM, so I can focus on writing and making videos. And I've tailored my life, created a life where I can have that. I've purposely not had kids. I only have a cat who's pretty easy to take care of, even though he's a maniac. Work calmly, joylessly, and recklessly on whatever is on hand. Like, put your passion into it, but be calm about it. Even if you're being reckless, like, being calm, don't be nervous, don't put any pressure on yourself. Please stop putting pressure on yourself. I know so many writers who are gone, and I call it the most wealthy place on the world, everybody. And this is shout out my boy Les Brown, motivational speaker, is the cemetery, because there are a million ideas. Go walk through a cemetery, books, novels, The Cure for Cancer, and every single cemetery. People could have done so much, but they didn't, because they truly didn't believe in themselves. They really didn't get behind it and put the work in. And don't become one of those people. And a lot of times people psych themselves out. Just calm down. Learn to meditate. Go check out my yoga channel, Yogadelics, if you want more on that. Please calm down. Number 4, work according to the program and not according to mood. Stop at the appointed time. So this is interesting, that set a schedule, right? And I think it's a good time to talk about Henry Miller's writing schedule. At the start of his career, like most of us, he wrote from midnight to dawn. Right now, it's, what time is it? It's, I'm on the one, it's like 1 in the morning right now. Later, he shifted that back from about noon to dusk, and then at the end of his career, he, from morning to noon, and he was writing about 3 hours a day. Set a schedule. It's really important to create boundaries in your life. And if you have kids, there's a lot of problems, but something I just told my friend who is a writer and got 2 kids and young kids, like 1, 3, and it's a lot, right? I'm like, hey man, I understand that, like, and he can't find time. He's having trouble finding time. Ex-MFA student trying to get this first book done. And I'm like, hey man, you're going to have to give up some things in your life, and you're going to have to tell your wife, like, because they both work, like, hey, like, I need this time. But if you give me this time, if you give me this 2 hours a night, or even this hour and a half a night to write, then I will, I will be present in this with our kids and with you and with chores or whatever for the rest of the night, and like give you time, like work out some time. Because a lot of people, like what he's doing now, and I have other friends that do this, is they they just are working, right? So they get home and they're working, and then suddenly kid wants to play, kid wants to do something, and then their wife or husband have been putting in too much, and they're like, just take the kid, like, please, I need a break, or like, it's your turn. And it's like, you have to try to minimize those things. And if you don't have kids, or like any big things like that, then you don't have an excuse at all. And maintain a writing routine. It's really fun. It's really cool. And that requires some other things, though, because you have to maintain a sleep schedule, especially. Like, you have to wake up at a similar time and have things more set in stone. And for people like me who have a very loose work hours, basically I work whenever I want in terms of like my career, that I struggle with my sleep schedule. And I've always done that because I've always like maintained a very free work schedule. So let's read some anecdotes from Miller, though. Mornings, if groggy, type notes and allocate as stimulus. If fine, fettle, write. Afternoons, work on section in hand, following plan of section scrupulously. No intrusions, no diversions. Write to finish one section at a time for good and all. Interesting idea that he is basically not revising. I'm going to be making another video on another author I'm researching right now, and she doesn't. She's basically just going to the end. It's basically perfect, and that's very interesting. I don't know if I would recommend that, but interesting ideas. See friends evening. Read in cafes, explore unfamiliar sections. On food if wet, on bicycle if dry. Write if in moon, but only on minor program. So I'm assuming like things that are like not like the novel, but maybe reviews or other things. Paint if empty or tired. Make notes, make charts, plans, make corrections. Cool. So that is his writing program. And so when you can't create, you can work. And I don't know what he means by work, but I mean, maybe work as in writing, or when you can't create, maybe just doing work around the house or doing other things, a career. And writers, once again, you can, here's my advice to you. There are so many jobs that you can do remotely now, and you can learn the skills in under a year. For instance, video editing, copywriting, you can do jobs related to writing, and you could do those and Uber driving even, and maintain a very free schedule for your own writing. And yes, you're gonna have to make some lifestyle sacrifices, but you can in 2022 maintain a very free schedule, in my opinion, and have time for writing or whatever you want to do. So yeah, just work when you don't feel like writing. Cement a little every day rather than add new fertilizers. So this is kind of going back to his idea of cementing ideas and like that aren't going to be revised. And I'm a little iffy on that I think that revision is very important, and revising in the moment is maybe a little bit counterintuitive, but whatever works for you. I know I have a friend, and her mind, I feel like this is kind of a perfectionist thing also, that like her mind can't handle like it not being perfect. Like by the end of the session, like if it's not revised and perfect, like it's a problem. Like she can't just write a rough draft and not care. Like it has to be perfect before she can move on. And she did national novel writing. It was insane. She did National Novel Writing Month, and she was doing it like I was writing like 1,600 words a day. I was writing maybe hour and a half. It took me about hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours per day. And she was working like 8-9 hours a day. And I was like, oh my God, like, but by the end, she had a complete book. She had a complete 60,000 word book that ended up getting published by a small publisher. And 97% of books in 2022 sell less than a couple thousand copies. I can't remember right now. Let's look. Here we go. Read this line. 98% of books, this is according to the New York Times, that publishers released in 2020 sold fewer than 5,000 copies. And if we're looking at 2020, that was probably actually a pretty good year for selling books, and reading rates are declining still. So it's like 98% of books sell less than 5,000 copies. And with a commission rate of 7% for authors, if they sell 4,000 copies at a 7% commission rate, you do the math. Most writers do not make 5 figures for their book, which is insane. They maybe even can't even crack $5,000. So anyway, that's insane. That's a much different time than Henry Miller's time, when people actually read, and you could make money without, you still can, but keep human, see people, go places, drink if you feel like it. And that's It's important. You must change your life, as Rilke said, that a lot of people, you become this author and you start doing things. Man, I have this routine. I have to be serious. And when I'm not writing, I need to be meditating or doing things that will aid writing later. I can't smoke weed. I can't drink. I can't be promiscuous. Like, no, go have fun. Like, it's so important. Like, that gives you the life. That gives you the spice. Like, I enjoy my lifestyle. I don't enjoy going out and drinking and necessarily seeing people. I'm an introvert, but I do enjoy random things that have nothing to do with writing, my other hobbies, my time in nature, like those things. And without those, my writing suffers. But sometimes, don't get too lost in those or you don't have time for your writing. Number 8 is don't be a drought horse. Work with pleasure only. It's true. Writing can be blissful. Writing, as Philip Roth said, writing isn't hell. Writing is a nightmare. No, it's not. Like, I am enjoying my life as a writer. If I don't achieve success, that's fine. Like, no pressure. Like, why do you need to, like, what void do you have in your soul? Like, that, why you want to be right? Do you want attention? Do you want validation? Why do you need that? Like, honestly, why do you need validation anymore? Like, fill that void in your soul. Are you ugly? Do you think, like, obviously, if you sell millions of books, you can get laid with the most beautiful people in the world, but you can do that right now. Just go learn some game, man. Go work out, learn some game, and become cool, man. Like, I've had a beautiful dating life while broke, while not having many different things that people think they need, and I know people who've reached the pinnacle of dating without things. So it's like, what do you need? Like, why aren't you working with pleasure? Like, do you need money? Well, go. Like I said, there's a million jobs now that you can make enough to live in a decent house in a decent place without having to put that much work in. I'm putting in less than, if I manage it right, I could work from 10 to 20 hours a week and be solid in my life. And that, and I hope with, that, eventually to make money with writing, but, figure out a routine, figure out what works for you instead of, working a terrible job and then coming home and grinding out writing and then having like blown your mind out with some booze to like get rid of all the stress. Like, why not just make it all pleasurable? I totally agree with that. Discard the program when you feel like it, but go back to it the next day. Concentrate, narrow down, exclude. So he's talking about social life, like concentrate, narrow down, and exclude things out. The program, what your writing routine, keep that 100. Keep the main thing the main thing. But if you need to take some time off or do some other things, go do some other things, man. Sometimes, a new love comes into your life and you get swept away or things happen. Like, I remember Walter Mosley say, I write every single morning unless I'm having sex. And it's all right, there it is. Like, pleasure, life. These are things that are beautiful. Shout out Walter Mosley, man. He came to my university to give a speech on education, the contrarian speech on education. They want him to speak about higher education, and he just came in and slammed higher education. And Harry Reid was there, the former U.S. Senator of Nevada, and a bunch of other people were there. And at the end, he was just slamming education and politicians. And at the end, everyone gives him a standing ovation. And and all the politicians at the front and all the rich people not clapping, no clapping, no standing ovation. Forget the books you want to write. Think only of the book you are writing. Number 10, we already talked about that. And then 11, write first and always. Painting, music, friends, cinema, all these comes afterwards. And I would agree. And if it's not writing, like whatever it is, like get it done. Like it's the hardest thing in my life to do is to try and get that done. And I've maintained it. I've kind of found my way with that I have a cat. I have a girlfriend. I have a life. I have, so every single morning I make sure my cat's happy, my house is clean. I talk a little bit with my girlfriend, make sure we're on like a good basis, have an idea of what we want to do for the day. Then I come and work, whether that's writing or doing videos like this or other artistic pursuits of mine. And it's good. It feels really good before noon to have that all done, to have everything done, and then have time for work or for other things. And a lot of writers, if you wake up earlier. A lot of people have maintained the writing schedule at 4 or 5 a.m. and it's just a lifestyle change. Like nothing good happens. I'm gonna oppose Henry Miller here after 9 p.m. Like honestly, like after 8 or 9 p.m. in my life, like nothing productive has ever happened. I've had some conversations with some people who that went nowhere. I could have read a book at 7 in the morning that would have given me more insight than those people. And a lot of random things have happened. I guess some nice sexual escapades have happened after 8 or 9 p.m. But those could have happened earlier too. Could have scheduled those in earlier. So anyway, everybody, go check out some of my other writing advice from other authors over here and let me know what you guys thought. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.